Hi there, my name is Barbara Ballou, and I would like to share two true stories with you today. One was taken at Christmas time, and I'm going to read that to you first. During the holidays this year, between times that I could have been doing something constructive, I pondered the words happiness and joy, both words being spoken or printed over and over during the season, provoke thoughts about the difference between the two words, or if there is a difference. I'm happy watching a child giggle over a toy, or a friend accomplishes a long sought out goal, or when a son receives his doctorate in medicine. I laugh happily when someone tells me a really funny story or limerick, or when I see signs that my children are happy with his or her spouse. Such is happiness. Fleeting, but usually enjoyed again in some other context. Joy, on the other hand, presents itself as a different emotion. I felt joy anytime my husband caught my eye across a crowded room and smiled at me, just for me. I felt joy on a Christmas Eve coming out of a beautiful midnight mass at church with snow falling softly in the quietness of the night. I have a forever happy memory of when our college student daughter visited us in our new condo on the beach in Florida. She didn't arrive until midnight, and as soon as she could shed her pantyhose, we started down the softly lighted terrace steps to see what only could be heard. A daughter walking with me hand in hand, experiencing the landing for the first time. There was a silver peppering of stars, hardly showing through the scrim of clouds. The night totally black, and no moon, only the crashing high waves that gave off a colorless spectral light that seems as though the water is breathing. The wind off the sea was fresh and strong, and the night was thick and velvety, with the fragrance of jasmine, crepe myrtle, and salt emanation that says ocean. My daughter's eyes were huge as saucers as she took in the magnitude and power of the sea. I decided that joy is a different emotion than happy. Happiness can come from relief or tragedy, from accomplishment, satisfaction, or an outcome. Joy is deeper than momentary pride. I felt utter joy the first time I held my babies in my arms. I felt joy anytime my husband walked through our front door. It wasn't because I was afraid he wouldn't, but that I was always so proud of him. You can feel joy from the gut, from our very core, and it brings contentment and usually gratitude for what we've been given with acknowledgement of God's providence. I wish happiness and joy for every one of us. My other true story is much different than the one I just read. I call it a walk in the park. I was living in Iowa at the time, and while making a run into Des Moines one day with my father, my darling father, and Daddy to me, he was with me. On the way back home, We both decided it would be a good opportunity to stop and see the new sculpture park that had just been erected in the city by one of its most generous philanthropists. At the park, we were delighted with the plethora of fabulous, awesome works of art. We walked about studying each piece, some of them immense, and we took our time studying each and every one for several minutes. I noticed that Daddy returned to one of the sculptures several times, quietly looking up at the tallness and beauty of that particular sculpture, and I decided it was a photo op. The sculpture was not only tall, but immense, with several appendages reaching out from it. Daddy liked it, and so did the birds like it too. Those appendages made wonderful perches. I positioned my camera, quickly snapped a picture, and at the same time, I heard a definite plop. Well, there stood my father with a generous gift from one of the birds on his handsome head. He didn't move for a minute, and then, scarcely turning his taut body toward me, he just said, "For some people, they sing." End of story.